Welcome again to another episode of Chasing the Bag podcast with Bade and Biyi. We've been away for 3 months now, but we are back this time and we're here to stay, I promise. Bade, how are you doing?
I'm good, but I'm so sorry. Life has been happening, and we're just trying to ensure that we're in the best mind to give you guys audio and content that would really be helpful.
You know what? I have like the best excuse ever to give for being
Well,
away. The best excuse is that, when we recorded the last episode, like that
oh,
night,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, a couple minutes after I got the sad news that my dad had passed. So, yeah,
Yeah, that was crazy. It
yeah.
was. It was just. I was like, what, man? We didn't even know
But
before.
yeah, but we're back now, here to stay, giving you, better improved episodes of the podcast. Yeah.
So you
So,
guys should, be ready to keep listening to us.
all right. So, without further ado, we're starting this episode with a question from one of our listeners. This one comes from Spotify. First of all, I would like to thank everybody who's been listening to episodes of the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We are very grateful for you guys, the listeners. Thank you for subscribing and sharing with your communities. So, Bade, the question is from our last episode where we talked about stock investing. And one of the things we talk about is DCA, dollar cost averaging strategy. So here's the
Mhm.
question from Ogaga. It says, thanks for explaining the DCA strategy. One question though, you all say investing is better than trading in the long term. Does this include even the forex and crypto markets? By the way, what do you think?
That's a good question. The thing is, for both forex and crypto, those are very, 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 very volatile asset classes. So when you think about investing, you don't necessarily believe that in the long term you're going to get like a higher valuation or more return in the long term for those two asset classes. Foreign exchange more than even crypto. For crypto, I could say Bitcoin. So if you've been in Bitcoin since the early days, you'll be a multi-millionaire now. If you bought when it was a few cents or some dollars, now it's 100K, or I think it's double. You got to 100K
Yeah.
overnight. I think 90 something now. I'm not so sure. I've not been
Mhm.
tracking the crypto markets. So for crypto, Bitcoin is the only one I would say you could hold for a long term. But forex is not a long term investing game. It's not. I don't even think of forex as investing. You are speculating in markets and
Right.
can't determine what the outcomes will be in a longer time horizon. So most of their gains are in short time horizon. That's why they're better off doing it in the short and mid term. So yeah, B, what do you think?
Yeah, you've put it, better than I can really. I don't think forex trading is investing. I think it is just an activity, like trying to get money really. I don't consider it investing. Like you said, it is speculative. And any sort of trading that you are doing, whether you are doing some kind of fundamental analysis to support your decisions or not, you know, the there's a speculative part to it.
Yeah.
But investing is something that you do for long-term gains, like even yeah said in the question that he asked. So yeah, I would say forex. No, you say Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin investing, like if you buy and you hold for long as well, but definitely
Yeah.
not trading. The kind of trading that people do on Binance each and every day. I mean, people make returns off it, so that could be one of the incentives that encourages people to do it more and more often. Yeah, for
But
me,
the swings are too much. Like the people you are playing against, you are playing against algorithms essentially.
yeah,
People that are using high frequency trading, they are like investing millions of dollars on technology and tools that help them getting in and out of such deals in very, very quick timelines. You can't, as a retail investor, hope to compete with those guys. So it's not a market that I would advise, even though we're not financial advisors, but
the
that I
disclaimer
would,
always.
exactly, that I would advise any retail investor to venture into.
Yeah, I mean, for retail investing, we said it in the first two episodes. Stick to the basics, the ETFs, the stocks, rather than going into the volatile crypto or forex markets. So, thank you so much for the question, Gaga. If anybody else has any other questions, you can ask on Spotify, just like Gaga did, or send us a DM on our Instagram page. We'll be sure to answer your question on the next episode of the podcast.
Thank you.
All right. So we are starting a new segment to the podcast that we will
Mhm.
hope to carry on for future episodes where Bade and I will share something that we found interesting that we think anybody in the audience, any of our listeners would find interesting. It
Yeah.
could be, I don't know, a book that we read, something that we saw on Twitter. For me, in this episode, it is a YouTube channel that I found a couple weeks ago. So, Buddy, I don't know if I've told you this, but
No.
I'm trying to up my content creation game.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You have like a YouTube.
I have I have a I have a vlog that I've started. Yeah, let me just plug the vlog now. Go to YouTube and just search for B vlog and watch my first ever vlog on YouTube. But yeah, I'm trying to up my content creation game, and in doing that I've been trying to study YouTube a bit, right?
Yeah.
So I've been going through the YouTube rabbit holes. But one day I was just scrolling through YouTube Shorts. It is YouTube's version of Instagram Reels, and I just came across this funny ass exciting video from Primate Economics. I don't know if
Oh
you've come across the channel has so far just 4 videos, and it has
oh
grown exponentially in like the 2 months that it has been up. So right now they have about 370,000 subscribers.
no,
And
that's
yeah,
ridiculous.
that is incredible. That is like almost unheard of if you don't have like a
You
following,
know?
or yeah, if people don't know you before, if you don't have a track record of creating content and just attracting people. So what Primate Economics does is, if you check the YouTube description, the guy says explaining money with bananas, and that's what he does. So the videos are similar to, do you know Microsoft Paint, right?
Yeah.
So the
Uh-huh.
animations are very basic. It is almost like the guy has no talent, but at the same time, he has all the talent in the world. So the animations are very basic, and the videos are, I think the longest video so far is less than 7 minutes out of the 4 videos. And the very
Mhm.
first video was about 2 minutes or 2 minutes, 30 seconds thereabouts. And it's done, I mean, the 4 videos. The first one was, I believe, inflation explained with bananas. Then the second one, stocks explained with bananas, tariff
Mm.
explained with bananas, and crypto explained with bananas. And what I like most about that YouTube channel, Primate Economics, is that it breaks it down to the basic. Imagine explaining something, let's say it affects everybody, like, right, like inflation, but
Yeah.
explaining it using leaves and bananas in such a funny way. So that is what I found. I think everybody should, check out that YouTube channel if you have the chance. I think it's something that is fun that everybody could just, enjoy.
I always love content that breaks down like really, really complex subjects into the most simplest terms or simplest ways, using
Mhm.
maybe humor
Right.
or very, very mundane looking concepts. So it's very, very. I would like to follow the YouTube. For me, what I think I found this was it last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's a website called
All
AnswerSocrates.com,
right.
and what they essentially do is you can search the mind of the world on whatever people are searching for on a subject. So, for
Wow.
example, if you want to know about what is everyone talking about tariffs, let's say in the US or in Nigeria, you see all the different questions that people have been asking
Mm-hmm.
via Google and some answers that they have curated to answer some of those questions. So it helps to know if you're doing some sort of market landscaping or you just
All
want to
right.
know where the world is going, where like people's thoughts are. I use it a lot, especially as an entrepreneur. So when I'm trying to find out what are people thinking about the concepts or the business area that we are trying to develop product around, you see like the pain point that people are having because they are shown in the questions that they're asking. And you can also
Interesting.
filter to different countries in the world, wherever you want it to maybe
Ah,
focus.
have you
So
done
it's
anything on
really
Nigeria?
no, I've just
You'll be focusing on your market.
yeah, exactly. So I've just been checking what people have been, skeptical about some parts of the solutions or some issues that my startup is trying to tackle. So you just want to know where people's minds are. So you can use it for anything. So even people that are in marketers, I know a lot of marketers use this to kind of or even content creators can
Right.
use the types of content you can post because you know what people are thinking, what questions they need answers to, and you can just help them answer it.
All right. So the name of the website is answersocrates.com.
Yes, answersocrates.com.
Awesome. So guys, be sure to check out answersocrates.com and also on YouTube, check out Primate Economics. We think you will find them exciting. So now to the, will I say main topic of the day, but it's just something that has been on my mind over the past 2 months since it happened. I think
Mm-hmm.
it is the craziest thing that has happened personal finance wise in Nigeria in the past, maybe the past 3 years, would I say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it is nothing other than CBEX.
What was this scheme?
I mean, it is, I won't say that it is crazy that people are still falling for schemes like this. I think that there is a huge deficit of financial literacy or like financial education that still needs to go around in the, well, in the Nigerian space. But it is crazy that it's happened again. It has happened tons of times in Nigeria.
Yes. So it's like these snake oils men that go like before in the early 90s, like they would have they are selling fake oil that's the cure to like everything, and they just move from country to country or from
Mm-hmm.
not like they were in the US, so they were moving from like city to city, and they rinse and repeat the same trick over and over again, but the people never like understand it because of desperation, and also they rebrand it. So I would not be shocked in another couple of years that another CBEX will show up. I didn't even know a lot about it because
Oh, I think that is certain. I think that is certain. CBEX will be back.
I'm just like, how are Nigerians falling for this again? When some years ago, was it 2015, 2016, was MMM
Right?
that was trending then. There have been different variants of these Ponzi schemes, but like you
Right.
said, it's desperation and also a financial illiteracy that just makes people. What was even the story? Like, let's break it up because I was hearing conflicting news or information. Some people say it's $800 million that was
Okay.
deciphered.
The number that I have from EFCC, it is 1.3 trillion naira. 1.3 trillion naira from estimated about 200,000 Nigerians were defrauded by the scheme. So that is a whole lot of money, right?
On social.
It is the typical way they lure people in, low risks. So they put, and this is probably the same for all these Ponzi schemes, right? And this is something that people should watch out for. Is like they
Yeah.
have low barrier of entry. So one of the things that the EFCC chairman mentioned in one of the talks that he gave is that they do not require KYC.
Mm, I
And
see.
exactly. So there's no verification required. So, and that alone should be a red flag for most people, right? So if you're putting your money into, will I say, an investment platform, although they call it crypto trading with algorithms or something, and they say, oh, you don't need any verification, just put your money. And
You know that.
people tend to believe it. I feel like that's a red flag that people should watch out for. Then there's
Yeah.
also the high returns. That one is, customary with these Ponzi schemes. It was the same with MMM. Do you remember Ultimate Cyclers?
My
Ultimate Cyclers, there was Twinklas, there was Binomo, there was is it MBA Forex
yeah,
that
there's
also
MBA for
happened and scammed a lot of people. So there's that promise of huge returns at the end of the day that you're going to make. I think the promise with CBEX, I'm not so certain. I think it was like 50% of your investments every month, or I think the 1% of your money per day.
I see. Because
So the
for
promise
me,
was ridiculous, or it always is ridiculous.
yeah, so but I think a few years ago I listened to one of my best podcasts in what Planet Money. They had like an episode called The Anatomy of a Scam.
Sorry,
And
what's
it
the name
kind
of the
of
podcast again?
Planet Money.
Oh yeah, Planet Money. All right.
Planet Money. And it kind
Of
of
course,
broke
of course.
within every scam, there are certain elements that once you see, you already know without even thinking too much that this is not true.
Right.
One of the things there's type of urgency. So some of them there's an urgency for you to get in.
Exactly. There's the pressure that they put on people to invest money.
There's that urgency, then also there's the ridiculous gains or returns. Once you see what I always do in my head is this: the richest men in the world, how much are they making on their investments? Like, and
Right?
that's people that are investing billions of dollars into ETFs. These people are comfortable with 8 to 10%, 13%, maybe
Mm-hmm.
at best 10%. When you start seeing any number that is above that, you know that something is fishy. It's either, and this happens, so it's called alpha, is either there is asymmetry of information. That means what I'm saying is that there's something that your people or the people you are investing in know that the
That
whole
you
world
don't
does.
know.
So,
Right?
and that's very, very, very rare. Because if they do indeed have information that is not available, why would they provide that to you? Why won't they, keep it for themselves and take all the gains from all of this? So those are the things I always think about, and I want like you
Right.
think about. One, there's that urgency. The returns are not realistic. They always claim that they have some edge, and just think about it. Why will they give you this edge? Why not just use it themselves and make all the gain instead of them,
Right.
they out of the goodness of their heart that they just decided
Yeah,
to
why risk other people finding about your golden goose? Or that or the what they call it? Is it the goose that lay the golden egg or something like that? So like why risk people knowing your secrets to fortune? Because you are so nice from the bottom of your heart.
definitely not. So you know that there is a catch, and when there's a catch, you need to find out what it is. But I know another thing that happens is a lot of people that happened
Mm-hmm.
to me too. Think that getting early, early
Right?
getting before this thing busts, and
True, true, true.
early, some of them get greedy after they see the ridiculous return maybe the first few times, and they don't get
Mm-hmm.
out because that's human nature. Once you start getting, you see, there's no drug more addictive than easy money. So once you start getting those returns, you
Mm-hmm.
going back in. It's like a casino, and you cannot win the house. You can't win the people that are setting this up to take your money.
Yeah. So let me get in early. One thing that I hear often is like, let me get in early, right? So I will now remove my capital. I took my
And
capital
I'm
out.
not
I took my capital out. So it's just the interest that I've earned on it that I'll be
listening to.
investing.
And what people don't know is that you don't know when the good time will fall, and
You have
you
no
don't.
idea.
So they're just trying to gamble away your money. But
I
yeah, these
mean,
things have been in Nigeria a long, long time. It's
right.
one of the indicators of a developing economy that a lot of these things strike more.
I mean, I feel very sorry for the people that lost their money in the scheme. I mean, it is not easy to lose your hard-earned cash. He called it good lost a substantial amount of money. And what happened is that he heard from his friend that, oh, I've made so amount, and he was like, okay,
If you
let me invest this huge amount, and he also lost that money in the scam. I think another thing to look out for with all these scams is that they are overly focused on growth. Like some of them, they want you to bring people in, right? So once you start getting referrals or getting paid for referrals, that's another thing that you should look out for. When you say,
Yes.
oh, anybody that you bring in, you get 10% of the person's investment.
Uh,
How are you making 10% of just like that as a payout for doing, well, for doing just that, bringing a person in? That's something that I would say that people should look at.
there was a time in my life where I was very obsessed about just researching MLMs. So MLMs are not Ponzi schemes, but they
Mm-hmm.
are kind of Ponzi schemes because they have a product.
That is multi-level marketing.
Yeah, so multi-level marketing. So it's the same thing as a Ponzi scheme. They have a product, let's say, for example, a Forever Living product. I think Forever Living are they're the most established MLM type product that still exists
I think
today.
Mary Kay as well. Mary Kay, the cosmetic company,
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
also like an MLM kind of thing.
So there are only a few really established products that are successful through MLM. You find that they try to is the person that is at the top of the pyramid. They're the ones cashing out because you are creating your own empire, and
Mm-hmm.
is your down recruiters who will be funneling money to you up. So it's the incentive is just not aligned to number one, sell the product, but to the incentive is more to recruit people so that you can get return on those than just even selling the product. But Ponzi schemes in themselves are they are the worst variants of MLM. And once you see that in the equation, just
Right.
know, yeah. I remember there was a forex one now that year.
Yeah,
What was it?
it was MBA Forex. I can
Was
remember.
it a forex that was using
Damn, I've forgotten
what?
the name, but I know the one that you are talking about. I know it. So they had this elaborate scheme with courses where they teach
Yeah,
you how to trade. Then you pay, I don't know, 300 and something. I can't remember the amount it was
and
a
then you
month.
keep the
Damn,
rank. Yeah,
can you imagine how much money those people made? Like
they
that's
cashed
that
out.
is that is subscription like
Yes,
on
now
forex trading.
does HBO Max charge for subscription plan?
That was ridiculous. Actually, that's
So
ridiculous. So, I mean, those are some things to watch out for. But, like, by the way, what do you think is the way forward? Like, out of, I mean, for me, off the top of my head, I would say, like, don't be greedy. Once you see those returns, there are some things that should just be instant red flags to you. So, once you see an investment, quote unquote, investment opportunity where you start making 40%, I mean, they'll say 40% in so amount of months. I mean, you should raise an eyebrow.
yeah,
I mean, just cut your coat according to your size. Do not be greedy. Yeah, that would be like number one way forward for me. Like, what do you
but
think?
the thing is that you can't call men's greed. Like if you call men, you might as well call innovation because most times it's people's desires, to make it big that then
Hmm.
get them to think of different ways to solve problems that will, bring money to their pocket.
Yeah,
But
there's
not
that.
and it's even getting to the point where, especially for investment, if your plan is to invest your way into financial freedom, which I don't think is possible. If you want to, if that's a part for you, you need to understand what good enough returns, like what the average returns are,
Hmm.
and ensure you stay around investments that are in that range. Because anything that is outside of that, you are most definitely assured that you will lose your capital. And like I was listening to Warren Buffett just he did his last annual shareholders meeting.
Meeting
That's my name. Like he's an OG, the influencer of influencers. Like I really
the
respect
investor
him.
influencer number one.
Exactly. If you see the line, I was watching the line at the annual shareholders meeting to get to speak to him was like 30 minutes long. Like
Wow.
people come from far and wide, CEOs of 45 companies just to see this
Right.
man. So his rule that the first rule is that you don't lose your capital. And what was the second rule?
Go back to rule number one. What to
That's
live by.
so once that's your goal, you just have to, keep your expectations at that average. Of
Right.
course, there are one-off events, but those one-off events are not what make the most of people's returns. If you check on average, so you have to be very, very careful into those types of very volatile investments.
Right.
This
So
investments.
I'm also thinking, like, you said something about investing your way into financial freedom. Like, how much of getting ahead in the world is actually risk taking, you know? I mean, people
Mm,
might look at it as, omo, na risk. Oh. Make I just risk I get this key somewhere, so let me risk it with this CBEX thing
mhm,
and see what happens. And they might have been fortunate, probably made their money months before the whole thing collapsed. But
yeah,
there is also that aspect of life that has to be risk taking or that is risk taking in getting ahead. I think there is, well, I say that there's cautious risk taking where
mm,
I mean, try not to be greedy and,
yeah,
make sure that the risk that you're taking, even if it is high risk, it is also calculated. So it is not just heedless and you don't fall into traps of people that are just trying to get money off you.
yeah, yeah.
Another thing that people are pointing their hands to because when things like this fail, we as a people, it is one of the times that we remember our government, that we have government, right? So people have been pointing their hands at EFCC talking to the SEC about regulating or stricter regulation for the financial sector. Well, definitely this CBEX was mostly online. It didn't require any KYC. It was definitely not an approved investment to the best of my knowledge. So I'll say
Yeah.
one other thing for people to watch out for. Make sure that whatever you're investing in has that stamp of approval from if you're investing in Nigeria, that SEC stamp of approval is very important. Make sure that you whatever you're investing in is an approved investment, and you are just not funneling money to people that just want to, you know, win off you.
And another rule of thumb is when people like it's like I have a lot of quotes from Buffett. When the markets or people are excited about something, you should be cautious. And when they are cautious, that's when you can't get excited.
Mm.
Because what happens is the crowd is a head and everyone just swings for what is most popular and what is most trendy. So a rule
Right,
of thumb, when you see that a lot of people are into something, is like your own internal, you should have like an internal monologue for you to just pause.
right. Take a breather.
Yes, before taking, any decisions with respect to it. Because what happens, a lot of people that invested is they heard a friend that invested, they saw a video on TikTok, they saw somebody on Facebook, and without thinking, they just put all of their money into this thing and it
Mm-hmm.
got wiped. So a lot of risk is like you were making a point about risk, that to what extent is risk the indicator of success, or can
Right.
you invest your way into or take high risk bets into financial freedom?
Freedom.
It is more often than not no. That's just the truth. And I saw there was a story I saw, I don't know, was it on Twitter, on Instagram. So there's a third guy that was with Warren Buffett and Charlie
Charlie
Munger in the
Munger, right? Yeah.
he says his name was Rick Goren, and they were peers at that time, but he took a lot of risky bets that
Yeah. I
he
according to yeah, I heard that he leveraged. So and what Warren Buffett said that he always knew that him and Charlie Munger were going to be rich,
reached. Uh-huh.
but they just didn't know when, or they knew that they were just going to be rich, but they were not in a haste. And the
Yes,
third guy was in a haste, and he took leveraged bets. And when the calls came, and he got
yes.
what they call
You know
it,
what?
margin called, he had
Yeah,
to
man,
sell. He had to sell his shares in Berkshire Hathaway for cents on the dollar to Warren Buffett, and that's how he lost out.
that's it's just very it's sad, but it's one of the lessons you just learn from. Even the thing is that even when you know these things, when in the heat of the moment, you
Oh,
still.
you're attracted. I actually heard about CBEX before it failed.
Oh,
And
really?
let me say I got a bit excited because, it's hard. And one thing with these Ponzi schemes is that, especially when they come back, they are like chameleons. They always take
Yeah,
new forms. In fact, they're not chameleons, they're like shapeshifters. Like they're like Mystic from the X-Men. They like always
yeah,
take new forms.
yeah,
So imagine like putting money and bringing people the way that MMM was, that will not really fly in
yeah.
2025. But what could fly is something like algorithmic, what they call it,
Trade.
crypto trading. That just put your money. It is done by bots. It is done by AI. Put that AI there. Put that bots there. Put those
And before it,
buzzwords there in 2025, and you are golden. So they always shape shift.
where are the
But
guys that they've been caught, or they ran?
so according to EFCC, two suspects have been arrested, and they've also recovered some money. But I don't know, take that with a pinch of salt. I hope it is true, and I hope that the at least the people that lost money can recover some of their funds. But one of
Funds
the will I say roadblocks to that happening is that
is in
they
crypto.
that is one, also converting the money back, then also the KYC issue. So
Oh,
whose money is what, and who lost what is kind of tricky tracing the origins of funds. And apparently, not from apparently, they actually had offices where you could go and deposit funds. I believe there was one in Ibadan, and I saw that on the news with a lady or a couple people crying when it happened, when they could not access their funds, and the office was looted, people moving away with chairs and desks. I'm like, chairs and desks are not going to help you recover your
yeah.
funds. Like, how much are you going to sell these chairs and desks for?
God.
But you have to, I mean, I believe like in the heat of the moment, people have to do whatever helps them to
They're
get through
very
the matter.
angry.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I heard the main guy fled the country, and
Hmm.
because of transaction, they say he cleaned out the wallets. I really wish that or hope that the EFCC, they are very sophisticated because the beauty of cryptocurrency is everything can be traced. Like I've seen
Thank you.
they trace monies that have been stolen
I mean, the
before.
ledgers are out there, right?
Everything is out there, decentralized. You can have access to. You just need to know how to look. So those guys, if the Nigerian government is really interested in getting there, it wouldn't be so difficult. It will take some time
Hmm.
and to get some sophistication, but they can, and they can actually recover those at least some part of the funds before they, liquidate them into cash and go somewhere else.
Well, good luck to the EFCC, and yeah, still rooting for them in this matter and hope that they're able to recover some funds for that lost money.
Yeah. We're planning to have a podcast, so an episode on tariffs. And what just came to my mind is the inflation rate in Nigeria now. Like, how are,
Oh,
like, in terms of the price level of goods and services,
right.
how are people, coping in this?
I mean, the prices are ridiculous. Recently, we had a send forth from one of our colleagues, right? And I
Right.
remember I was speaking to one of the interns here that in 2021, 2020, when we used to have housings like that, it
Yeah,
used to cost also amounts. Like I used to know like but now like what it cost then, but now it is legit four times what it used to cost.
so you're
Like
telling me like an average outing will be like 100K naira?
you are I mean depending on maybe that would be like for two three people, two
Okay,
three
okay.
people, but if you are going as a group, you remember how we used to go as a group, of like 10 people, right? So if you
Yeah.
are going with a group of 10, 15 people, now you are talking like lots of money. So and I think probably this inflation rate, I mean not just probably, is one of the things that attracts people to schemes like this because things are so
Uh-huh.
expensive. So I remember
Okay.
like the last recorded inflation rate that I saw for maybe in March was about 24%, you
My
know.
God.
So things are ridiculously pricey in Nigeria and it is hard for people to live the everyday life living is people have to cut even myself, not even like even myself. I've had to cut down on a lot of things that I would typically be able to indulge in,
Mm.
treat yourself to a couple of things, but now you look at your wallet when you buy full tank for about 45,000 naira, you're like, full tank.
What?
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago, that used to be like 8,000 naira. So, and the thing with transportation or like with the cost of transportation, cost of fuel in
Mhm.
Nigeria, where all we have is road transport to move food, it's cascades to every other sector. So the cost of moving passengers from point A to point B is higher. I remember also like 5 years ago, 2020, 2019, 2021, taking Uber, right? So from Lekki to VI, it's been like maybe 1,100, that's even on the high end, maybe 1,500 on the high end, right? But these days, if you are going to do trip,
Yeah.
the same distance, it is three times that. Everybody has to make money somehow. It also affects food, especially the cost of food. I was speaking to one of our friends, Sheyi. Shout out to Sheyi today.
Yes,
And we
shit.
used to buy chickwees from Chicken Republic. Chickwees
How much
from
was it?
I don't know if it was less than 1,000 naira. I think it was like 600,
Oh, like, yeah,
naira. It was
700
like
or something
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. It
that.
was like yeah. Now it is close to 3,000 naira, and that was even the small sized one.
It's 3,000.
Yeah, close to 3,000 naira. Yep. That is what it is now. That is
The
without
size.
the cost of delivery. So that is without the cost of delivery. That is what inflation has done to everyday life in Nigeria. You have to, think twice before you make any purchase. Cut your quotes according to your size, and just hope for the best. Try to save, and also hope that you don't have any medical emergency because that would clear your bank account. That would clear
Yeah.
your bank account. So, like I said, the cost of everything is crazy. With the devaluation of the naira and a lot of these pharmaceutical companies international pharmaceutical companies departing Nigeria because it just didn't make sense on their balance sheet to remain in Nigeria,
Uh-huh.
right? So you've seen like the prices of medication that people
Yeah.
use is just ridiculous. You go
Not
to
some
the yeah, you go to the
inhale
Med Plus.
as like 3x since I'm just like how
Absolutely.
this is a life saving, you know, device or medication, but it's not accessible to people.
Yeah, I know that there's a global inflation, right? But added to that, there's particularly difficulty in Nigeria, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's just what everyday life looks in Nigeria now.
What recommendations would you have for people in this type of in a more in a time like this for young people who are trying to make ends meet, start out their careers or mid level careers?
Right. First thing, have a job. Stay in your job if you have a job. Make sure you have that income coming in. The other thing that I would say from my own perspective is to cut down on excesses.
Yeah,
Whatever you used to indulge in. The was it was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I was driving past one of my favorite suya spots in VI here, and I wanted to stop. It would have cost me maybe like 4 5,000 to buy 4 5 sticks of suya. I'm like, oh, this money go buy fuel. So maybe they go. So yeah, cut down on excesses. Our friend Sheyi said one day that he does not have cravings anymore, and I thought that was crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, so you cut down on excesses. If you have a job, stay in your job, and whatever way that you can get ahead. That's something that I am trying to do. If you can, if it is to go to school, if it is to switch jobs, find better paying jobs. Also, make sure you don't lose your money, right?
yeah. That's
That is,
number one. If you work hard for your money, don't lose it,
don't even
please.
try it. Don't consider it. So you work hard for your money. If you don't know a lot about investing, stick to the basics, stick to the proven, right? And when I say investing, I'm not talking about business in this context. If you just want to put your money and you want it to grow, stick to the basics, stick to your bank. Bank have asset management groups. I use Stanbic
Mhm.
Bank, I use their asset management thing. It works well. Stick to Piggyvest. It is a very good platform.
Yeah.
Stick
Mhm.
to the bamboo, to the proven institutions, and
Yes. Bamboo.
try not to get greedy. What else would I say? Yeah, and live your life and be optimistic. I know that that one is hard. That
I like
one is
and
hard,
you already mentioned it is try to skill up.
right?
Try to skill up based on international standards, even if you're still in Nigeria, like because it will really help you at the point where, let's say, you get an opportunity, you will be able to really ease into that world. Like, even if you don't have enough money to, go to school or you are not able to get scholarships, or if you can do, but the world now, information is everywhere, knowledge is everywhere. There's
All
anybody
right.
can learn anything from
Anything,
any.
anywhere.
You can be the best user of Excel in Akure, Ondo State, in the world. I'm telling you, if you watch the videos of people on YouTube that are the best, and
Right.
you will be the best. You can be the best software engineer, the best person that
Absolutely.
in AI algorithms or AI models just from wherever you are. And that's one way you can, increase your earning potential and earning power, because that's the first thing you want to, fix. Once you are able to get skills to
And
the
more.
top level and earn more, then investing will just be on the side. So that's one thing that I think is very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with that totally. Scale up to international standard. There's a global world these days. I mean, if you have the skill, there's a company out there that probably wants you,
Exactly.
there's probably a company out there that wants you. There is, even as a freelancer, if you don't want to be the 9 to 5 type, you could definitely add value to some business or to a project anywhere in the world. So yeah, that's what I would say. I think maybe is that a pod? Is that a podcast? Is that the episode? By the way, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's it. So that's it, just helping people realize and try to find meaning and find a way out of the very difficult situation that is now. We don't want you to go into the hands of people like CBEX. Carry that money, go and take 10 course, invest in yourself.
Right. Or carry that money and just send it straight to BE. Straight this to B because B needs money right now.
He does. So yeah.
So thanks for listening, guys. Do well to share this episode to your friends on watch on YouTube, subscribe, share to your friends on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram. If you have any questions for us, just send us a DM on Instagram at Chasing the Bag Podcast and we'll be sure to respond to you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
See you.